there's a lot of great tech out there. There's
Sure.
a lot of great stuff that's out
Absolutely.
there, right? But my big thing is sometimes we got to go back to the classics, the things that work.
Whether you're developing a new student housing community or acquiring an existing one, fast and reliable internet isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. But when it comes to serving college students, standard telco providers often fall short on both performance and support. Don't risk a frustrating experience for you and your residents. Choose Campus Technologies, a provider with nearly 25 years of expertise in delivering top-tier internet infrastructure and exceptional customer service for student housing nationwide. Beyond high-speed wired and wireless internet, Campus Technologies also offers managed IT services to keep your property management team running smoothly at their properties. Even if you're not currently in the market for a provider, you need to know the best practices for upgrading your property's internet infrastructure. Download their latest white paper today. You can find the link in the show notes or visit campustechnologies.com. Welcome to the Student Housing Insight Podcast, where we put you in touch with the people who bring student housing to life. I'm your host, Wesley Deese, and this is the fourth episode of John Barr's Student Housing Insight Tough Talks. John, how are you doing?
Doing good. I'm glad to be back.
Well, I'm excited to get this next episode out. It's with someone who is, if you're a longtime listener, it's definitely a familiar voice that you're going to be interviewing today. It's Willie Butler with Empower. Is it Property Management Consultants? I believe it's Empower. I just go with Empower.
Same.
Because he's really kind of figured out not only how to empower his own team, but your own site leasing teams as well. He wrote this fantastic book right before he started his own company based on his experience in the student housing industry called Releasing. So if you don't have a copy of it, you can find it on Amazon. And man, Willie's just a great guy. I think you guys have got some work experience together as well.
Will and I go back to Campus Crest days where we both started off very young in our career. So I've known Willie, traveled with Willie before. We've been on vacation with one another. I've known him a very long time, very close friend of mine. And I was so pumped that he actually wasn't even scheduled to get on as my guest. And luckily, I was able to just snag his big. If anyone knows Willie, he's always busy doing something. I always say he's always hustling. Always, he's hustling something somewhere at some point. And so, like, to get him down, like locked down to be able to do this with me was just like a godsend in itself. So, was able to like pin him down in Marriott and say, let's get this going because I gotta have you on here. His perspective, when I really thought about it, is like, to his book and everything Willie does is like he has seen through the entire process of leasing, and his mindset is very driven towards that process, and that's his gift. And so I thought his perspective would really give a great insight for our new leasing professional CAs, leasing managers that are out there. And again, to empower, if you ever need Willie's help, he's always there too, with his company and the group that they've trained there. So he has some really good insights on this one.
So for folks who may have missed the last three episodes that we did with you on this series, number one, make sure you go back to the very first one that was with JT Bailey at RealPage, because we do kind of a whole intro of you, John, and you know what all it is that you do and at Dinnerstein, as well as your history within the industry. But you are the director of leasing and innovation at the Dinnerstein companies. For those in the audience who may not be aware, a little bit of background on Dinnerstein really quick, because fantastic company, but Dinnerstein has a very long history in the student housing industry. So
we have a really unique situation here. We're an owner, operator, developer, and constructor. So literally anything under their umbrella, we do in-house. It's a really fun experience because I think there's a lot of autonomy that comes with that. And I can go upstairs and talk to construction about timelines on any development that we oversee. We've been doing this a very long time, and we do it across student, conventional, and now build to rent deals. And on top of that, we do a little bit of that, or actually we're doing more acquisitions as we look towards the future. And so really hand in every single pot. And with my role, which is very unique, is that I have to get systems to talk across all types of platforms. And so as I'm looking at products, it may make sense for student, but I need it to make sense for conventional and build to rent. And so, because I think through one thing in the process of anyone that's looking to centralize or use automation and AI, one of the things that will be very eye-opening is that there's a lot of procedures that are non-existent when you're going through this process. And so as you start like peeling back the layers, you start realizing like, oh, we don't even have a system in place for this. How can I implement this? And so it's been very eye-opening, lots of hours, late hours into the night trying to figure out things to talk and make sure it makes sense across the board. But yeah, it's a blast being here, and it's really fun being, I think, versus the third party side, working for, like, I work for my owners that are here, like the dinner scene sign my paycheck. And that's really cool that I meet with them on a weekly basis to discuss the portfolio and the needs that we need.
Yeah. Well, we're in the first week of July when this episode's coming out. And so I know everybody's getting all the last things put in place before turn hits, but I don't care which market you're in, leasing never stops anymore, because if you're in, a tier one market that, is typically, leased up by this point, you're already thinking about what you got to do right after move-in day and getting the next leasing season started. And for those that are not in one of those markets, you're trying to get that final 5, 10, sometimes even 15 or 20% that you need to get before move-in day. So this is the perfect person to be talking about or talking with during this, July 4th Independence vacation week. You got to get to your last breath before you jump into turn, but you need to be focused on leasing. So give us a couple of some of those things that the audience needs to lean into in this conversation that are really going to set them up for finishing out the next 6 to 8 weeks.
So I think this one's really funny and it's eye-opening because Willie and I are the same age, yet on this episode, he sounds like old man Willie. Typically you hear at conferences, you see someone up there like in their 70s talking on a panel or something like that. You're like, you don't know anything what's going on right now. And it's like, you have someone, this is like the flip side. You got someone young telling us like, we got to go back to when it's back in 2005 when we started leasing. And so it's funny to hear Willie's perspective on this. Because he's almost the anti-AI, and not saying that he and his team don't implement AI across their board.
No, they've definitely implemented AI.
Exactly. But I remember talking to Willie early on, like probably this was like maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago. He was like, no, you don't need AI. You just need good leasing professionals, etc. And so like now he's definitely changed his perspective, but Willie really leans on to the grassroots training and marketing and street teaming. And I mean, like traditional guerrilla marketing, because what I think had happened is COVID made us, and I've mentioned this on the episode with JT, but like COVID forced us to lean on technology like we've never had before, which then turned into a crutch, which allowed our on-site employees and even corporate employees to lean on technology versus start with the experience and then allow technology to take things that don't matter in the process off of our plates. And so I think Willie does a really good job of articulating that during this. And it's really good to see that different vantage points, because I don't think you get that on a lot of panels across the board. And also, this is a fun one. I think Willie has a great turn story that, I potentially won't want to work for Empower now because they do something way more fun than what I'm doing during the turn. So I think if you tune into those, you're in for a treat.
Oh yeah, let's go ahead and get into that, because I don't want to. Everybody's on vacation this week; they've got very little time, and I want to be cognitive of that. So let's go ahead and get to this episode or this interview with Willie Butler at Empower PNC.
Hey everyone, thank you for joining me again for another Student Housing Insights Tough Talks. I have another special guest, a dear friend of mine, colleague. I've known him for years in the industry, but we started when we were both wee little CAs. Willie Butler. How's it going today, Willie?
Fantastic,
Man,
I'm
thank you for
well.
joining. Thanks for joining me. I always look forward to us catching up. So
Honestly,
Willie,
the pleasure's all mine, man. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, easy stuff, easy stuff. Willie, I think I know you. The audience doesn't know you, so I would love for you just to introduce yourself, kind of what you do and what you do for our industry right now.
Absolutely, yeah, I appreciate that. So, my name is William Butler. I'm the principal at Empower Property Management Consulting. If you don't know us, shame on me. It means I'm not doing my job, man. But Empower is known in the industry to be kind of the Navy SEALs of leasing, right?
Okay.
Or, I was at one of these conferences and I was called, hey, somebody pointed at me, was like, dude, you're the leasing assassin. In some way, shape, or form, it comes in that realm. We're known in the industry to come in and be the industry fixers. Okay. If there is a property that's distressed for one reason or another, we get the call. They have leasing problems. Problem solved, right?
Okay.
Consider it handled.
I like that. And how many? So just like out of curiosity, from like where you sit right now in your as a principal, I think that's a very vague like description of like or a title. So like tell me what your day to day is like. What are you driving for your company right now?
Lovely. Yeah. So I'm co-owner, right?
Okay.
So I have my partner. She's the CEO. I'm the principal. On my side of things, a lot of my work day in day out is I receive the phone calls, right? We have owners, operators giving us calls like, hey, I have this problem. It's this big. How can you help me out, right? So I handle a lot of the business development. Okay. A lot of my days are spent, looking at markets, analyzing different properties, figuring out where our pain points are from a leasing side of things, and if at all we can offer a solution. Because sometimes, as you know, it's not always a leasing problem, right? Yep. There's some, 100%. Underlining things that, let me say this. Sometimes low occupancy isn't the root, it's the fruit, right? Mm-hmm. Like we see that. But that's not where it started. Yeah. So a lot of what I do is I work with owners to help dissect the problem and then offer solutions. I also handle talent acquisitions, right? Keeping a revolving door of bringing in new talent, people who are good at leasing but really want to sharpen the knife and take the next step. I find those guys, grow their talent, and bring them into the fold. So,
all right. So when they say us up here as our CEOs, principals, y'all just sitting there on your high horse and just watching the money come in. That is not. I wish. Boy, that's what I thought it was gonna be. I thought it was gonna be. I think that's the myth. That is the myth that always gets debunked. Well, speaking of myths, I think like one of the things, the reason why I wanted to do this content was like wanted it to be fun, and so. I think the best question I got on this is, what's your current spicy take in the industry?
My spicy take? Oh, we're going to stir the pot a little bit, huh? My spicy take on the industry. It's funny. I have a lot of these conversations, right? And what's the state of the market and, what's crazy, like what's new in the market? What am I seeing? And what I'm seeing is not some new innovation that's going to disrupt everything. A lot of times what I'm seeing is more of a retro perspective, right? Like I look back and say like, instead of looking for the new thing that's going to shake the market and completely, sometimes we need to go back to the basics, right? I'm really big on, It's funny because I've had an Xbox for like, I just bought the new Xbox, right? And it's been sitting there collecting dust. I bought it for my birthday last year, right? My birthday gift to myself. And I haven't played it until recently when Assassin's Creed came out.
Nice.
Love Assassin's Creed, right? I don't know, that's kind of been a classic for me. Yeah. But I don't play a lot of games, right? Because when it comes down to video games, like sometimes the classics are the best. The Mario Karts, the Super Smash Bros, things along those lines. So what I'm saying is there's a lot of great tech out there. There's a lot of great stuff that's out there, right? But my big thing is sometimes we got to go back to the classics, the things that work.
100%. I actually love your take on this because as someone that is on the innovation side and is exploring all this tech, there have been times where it's been easier to fix a problem or put a Band-Aid on a problem versus, again, fixing the root of the cause and training people and getting back to street teaming and doing some of those things. I've really been on this new journey of figuring out how to allow technology to give more time back so that we can have better training, better on-the-ground foot presence, better in-person tours, really giving the ultimate experience to the new resident coming in. And I think technology can help with that, but it starts with you have to have good people trained well from 100%. The start so that they can do that and let technology do the mundane stuff that can be done 100%. By technology. So I'm right there with you in tandem.
Yeah, man. And time. That's the one thing that we all value, but we can never get back.
Yes,
right? And
exactly.
Technology making more time for us, fantastic. Yes. Because if you look at these financials, I mean, we'll see a lot of money being invested in technology.
100%.
But continued education becomes more and more fickle.
Yep.
On every budget.
We got to put that same dollar amount
into your people.
Yeah, pour into your people.
100%. Yeah, so no, that's huge. That's my take. It's not the fact that the industry is shifting now that we have to hustle more.
Yeah.
It's the fact that we should have been hustling from start to finish.
Yeah. Now we're playing catch up.
Now we're playing catch up.
100%.
Absolutely.
Well, that's good. That's good business for you, my friend.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
So I think you kind of see you're meeting with all these owners and kind of talking through strategies. And like, I know your days have to be crazy. So like, if you had one magic wand to fix one problem that you're currently having that can just kind of like boop, and then that would be, or had like some technology that just appeared and that would help you out, what would that be? Like,
yeah. Have you ever seen the movie Liar Liar?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Where he was just really big at lying, right?
Yeah.
Like, he just, and then at one point, I think his son made a wish.
Yep.
And he could never lie again. Yep. If it was up to me, I would make that same wish, but whenever pride became the front side of a conversation, I would eliminate all pride out of our work.
Yeah, that's good.
A lot of what we do, I mean, coming in as a third party kind of consultant, a lot of times when, we come in and we're like, hey, you know what? We see a problem on the leasing front. We can come in, we can solve it. At the forefront of it, especially, and this is something I've been trying to like overcome with, depending on who we're working with, sometimes pride could be the one thing that comes before the fall.
Yeah.
They don't want to bring us in because if we come in and we do something that kind of shows that, hey, we could have been doing this the whole time and our leasing efforts could have been better, it can make whoever was working on the property, it can make them look bad. And that's not the case. I don't want, there's nothing in the world that I get from making you look bad. I think maybe it was, I'm forgetting who said it, right? But the quote said, the moment, it's amazing the amount of things that we can do the moment we stop counting who takes the credit, right?
Sure.
Eliminate the credit, eliminate the pride, right? If I can just wish upon a star and that just disappears.
I love that.
Don't call me when it's a matter of like life or death. When you're like, we're at stage 4 at this point, right? Yeah. Thing about cancer is you can cure it if you catch it early enough.
Yeah, that's good.
Don't call me at stage 4. Call me at 2.
Willie out here solving cancer. Yeah, that's all I'm hearing from this. But I love that. I love that take. And I truly believe, I think leasing in general humbles us as, especially when we're CAs, et cetera, like you hearing no so many times, it's a very humbling experience. And it's like somewhere along the way we lose that. And just going back to the basics, your original point before that, but like going back to the basics, and sometimes that humbleness is so much more powerful because you really know when you're humbled, you know what moves to make. 100%. And like, if you need the help, raise your hand.
Yeah. And then recognizing that being humble and that L, like even if it is a L, it's not a loss, it's a lesson.
Yes.
The moment you humble yourself, you open yourself up to be that much better at your craft, right? Yep. Whether you're a CA, general manager, leasing manager. It's amazing how many times I'll go into a property and the managers are the most reluctant to receiving feedback, as if everything they were doing prior was fantastic.
100%,
it's like
100%.
Open your mind up. Everybody that I talk to, I'm humble enough to say, hey, John, in this conversation, I'm going to learn something from you.
Yep.
And everybody else that I meet at this conference, I'm going to learn something from you, right? And every property I go to, whether it's the newest CA or the oldest, maintenance guy, I'm going to learn something from you.
Yep.
And as long as you have that mindset and that humility that you talked about, I mean, you're on a very progressive track. So.
Well, I mean, speaking of progressive tracks, obviously you've progressed so long, you've done this forever. So like one of the best things about these conferences is getting together with people and like asking this question. So what's like your most memorable turn story?
Memorable turn story. I would have to say it's more recent than that.
Okay, give it to me.
Taking my team out to Cabo. During turn. See,
oh yeah.
Because now being on the leasing,
you're selling the dream. You're selling too much dream. This has become a sales show now. Like now, listen, we gotta keep this. No, that's awesome, dude.
Well, I mean, and it's hard because I always tell people before they come on or if they ever inquire about our positions, it's like, I'll never tell you that this job is butterflies and rainbows.
Sure.
Right? Because by definition, We chase the orcs and the dragons, right?
Yeah.
The distressed properties. We wouldn't get called if everything was perfect.
Yep.
There's usually a problem. So coming in thinking that everything's going to be easy and there's going to be systems. No. You have to come in ready to weather the storm, right? So we work hard all year round. Our turn is year round, right? And
That's
then
fair.
so when everybody else is doing turn, like we've done the leasing.
Yeah.
We get to go to Cabo.
Oh, man.
Or DR, or
That's so
Aruba,
awesome.
or whatever the case may be, right? So we like to reward our team for the hard work that they do year round by taking them on a trip when everybody else is.
Man, you're a good boss, man. You are a good boss. I need to talk to someone that did interviews earlier that needs to be sending me to Cabo. All right, man. Well, this is the last question for this. It's my favorite question of all of them. Anyone with experience, I think it's so vital for us to like give the branches down low so that people can create their own branches and spread them. And I think we do that through what lessons learned, etc. And so knowing everything you know now, like what advice would you have given your younger self, Willie, starting off as a CA or a leasing manager, in going through this industry and like how to be successful, whether it be to be the vendor side, whether it be consulting side, whether it be from the operations there, like what advice would you give something to your younger self, knowing everything you know now?
Absolutely. That's a great question. My younger self, the young fireball, right? Like feeling like you could take on everything, right? I would say don't romanticize the product so much that you forget the process, right? When you get too stuck on how and like the end goal and 100%, a lot of times you can lose sight of the fundamentals and which, and that's the why, right? Like the true reason why you're actually doing this. Let that be your driving force and make sure that you just execute on everything that we're doing now. When I go to properties, John, you'll be so surprised how many people don't have sparkle boards and stuff in the office, right? That's something that it was ingrained in us from a young age.
I gotta see where I'm at on the board. Like,
I
just gotta know if I'm top dog today.
100%.
Yeah.
And if I'm not top dog, I'm gonna hustle to go get it, right? It's something about that gives you a little bit more push. Friendly competition. You go in these offices, there's no sparkle boards. I don't have a goal. How are you gonna hit a target that you can't see? We're not outreach marketing because that becomes the last thing on our list because we had so many other things to do. Some of those fundamental things, that's the process. And that's how we get to the 100%. But we'll have conversations here. How many leases can you sign? How can you get us to 100%?
Sure.
Don't romanticize the product so much that you forget about the process.
I love that. It's going back. You said it earlier. It's just going back to basics and not losing sight of like why we do this and why we fell in love with what we're currently doing.
Absolutely.
Because I think the only way to eat an elephant is one bite at a time, but if you're trying to take bigger bites, you're gonna either break your jaw, something's gonna happen, it's not gonna work out. And I think our industry right now is kind of going through some of that change, and we've tried to see if things could like skip some processes, and it's like if you skip processes, you get skipped results.
100%.
And it may not affect you today, but you'll see it affect you tomorrow. And that's unfortunately probably where we're at. But hopefully, with all you're doing with us in the industry, we'll continue to see these leasing teams get back to like the things that matter, really giving the residents the best experiences, giving the prospects the best tour experience when they're on our sites. And so, I really appreciate your time today, Willie.
Pleasure being mine, man.
This is always a pleasure.
Always enjoy it.
This is easy stuff, man. This isn't even interviews. These are just conversations here.
That's it.
Thank y'all, everyone, for tuning in. More coming for you soon. This was Student Housing Insights, Tough Talks. John Barr, your host here. Have a great day.
Well, I appreciate Willie's time, and it's funny, hearing about what he would say to his younger self. Because to me, he's the young buck in the room. But to hear kind of those just wise responses from him, I mean, you could tell he has been through the battle when it comes from leasing. So I think we're all better for taking some time and listening to Willie and reading his book. And any takeaways, John?
Yeah, no, I would just say, again, I think you hit the nail right on the head with this, but like Willie's just such a great resource. And with where it being currently in the season, if you're at the finish line and you got a long ways to go, Willie's the right person. I mean, kid could sell snow to an Eskimo if need be. And so like he knows what to do, and he has a a huge team worth of great agents and managers that can help you in this crisis time. And so it's better to get full and pay extra to make sure that you're full versus we all know what happens if you're operating at 80% for a year. It doesn't look good on financials, and you got to start tightening up those purses. So feel free to reach out to him. He's a great resource, or reach out to me and Wes, and we can definitely connect y'all with that. But best of luck as we kind of wrap up the leasing season. And there's enough leases out there. We all just got to go get them.
There is. I know there's some folks now that are, probably thinking, okay, how am I going to get this final 5 to 10%? And sometimes it may not come from students. We did a webinar back in the first part of May with Vector Travel. They're a short-term rental management group based out of Atlanta, but they handle everything nationwide. And they've been sponsors on the podcast before. As things have gotten really kind of hot over the past, 3 years in student housing, it didn't make a whole lot of sense for folks to utilize putting any of their units on Airbnb or these other short-term rental sites. And we started getting some phone calls, and he called me specifically. Mickey at Vector Travel called me and said in kind of mid-April, I think we just got back from Interface. And he said, "Hey, I'm starting to get a bunch of phone calls from student housing operators, that they're fearful they're not going to lease up." And I said, "Yeah." I said, "There's some things going on, College of Charleston, which is a huge STR market in and of itself, but there was something's going on there. And by the time this podcast comes out, it may have self-corrected, but I also did see College of Charleston just announced a 1,200 bed on campus property that they're going to be developing, which is highly needed. But something weird is going on. They were first week in May, they were like 20% behind year over year. And, there's a lot of Baylor, or I should say Waco, Texas is another good STR market, Fayetteville, Arkansas. All three of those markets were a little bit more than just a little bit behind to the point. You start looking at the trend lines and you're like, we may only get 90% versus 95%. And that's kind of a perfect opportunity to evaluate STR. So if you're listening to this and you're thinking you may have to make a little bit of a pivot, go back to our YouTube channel and look at that. It's also available on our podcast channels as well in audio form, but I think you'll probably get a little bit more out of it. But when Mickey called me, my immediate response was, we got to get this out in front of everybody. Let's do a lunch and learn. So we did a lunch and learn with him. I want to say it was May 15th ish. So go back and look at that. I think you'll get a lot out of it if you're fearful that you may not make the numbers that you want and have some fully vacant units. Make sure that you're working with your schedule of assignments to make sure that you do have some fully vacant units and not a bunch of 4 bedrooms with one person in it. So, well, hey, I got a couple of other events I want to mention to everybody, but really quick, what do you have on tap between now and Turn really kicking up?
So luckily I have one leadership retreat, which I'm looking forward to. That's basically my send off into Turn season.
Yeah.
And then I'm full blown I'm actually overseeing 2 conventional sites right now. So I have one that's opening, one that should be opening in October. So we'll start walks coming towards the end of July. And then it's, John Barr, you don't have as many open properties right now. Can you just come help us for Turn? So then then I'm just bouncing around between all of the other operational sites of how can we help you for Turn? How can we get you ready? Where are you at? And then if Turn's going great, then I'm on the floor leasing. So you may, depending on which market you're in, you may see me on the leasing floor answering phones. Willie would be proud.
Yeah. So a couple of things that are going on that is final send off into Turn. We've got our last shop talk for this academic year. At the time of this recording, I don't have a date for it because I've got some travel and stuff that's planned. But check our website out, studenthousinginsight.com, and go to the events tab, and you'll see all of our events that we've got there. And shop talk will be there as well. Again, shop talk is our monthly webinar that we provide to the industry. And it's we'll be going over some final things on policy and legislative that are kind of shaping how things are going to, I guess I should just say, the environment that we're going to be working in when we get to the other side of move-in day, with what's happening with student visas and everything else. So make sure that you tune in for that. You can go to shoptalk.info. Again, that's shoptalk.info. And you can get to it through studenthousinginsight.com as well. But go to shoptalk.info to register, to receive those invites and register for the webinars. And then also July 30th, at the end of this month, we've got an event that BIZNOW is doing. If you're in the Atlanta area, you want to, certainly pay attention to this. They're doing one of their student housing summits. I can't remember the exact location in Atlanta. I think it's downtown Atlanta. But again, you could go to our website, studenthousinginsight.com, go to the events page. You'll see a link there, and make sure that you also take a gander at the description that we have there, because it includes a discount code as well for the registration fees. And then last but not least, coming up in October, I believe the official dates, the 20th through the 22nd, is the NMHC Student Housing Conference. In addition to the conference, we are also doing a Topgolf mixer for owners and operators. Done this the past couple of years. We've had a great turnout in Vegas. This year, the conference is in Scottsdale, and there just happened to be a Topgolf a couple of miles away from the resort. So we're going to be doing that, and we're combining this with the College Student Mental Wellness Advocacy Coalition. We're partnering with them on this to make it a fundraiser for the Hi How Are You Foundation, which provides so many resources along with the coalition to not only help students with their mental wellness, but also resources for our own, leasing staff and resident assistant staff, to make sure that they've got the tools that they need to help residents who just need to be asked, hey, how are you doing? That goes such of a far way when it comes to a college student that may not have had a great day or a great week. So great things going on there. Make sure that you go to the events page again at studenthousinginsight.com to get more info and to look at sponsorship opportunities for that as well. John, I think that's about it. Anything else? You want to give a little preview on our next episode?
Our next episode, I'm excited. It's our last one. Another dear friend of mine. I feel like I'm a friend with everyone. Jacob Kosior at SHI. Really good insights. I think obviously heard throughout each of these that AI has been the buzzword. Everyone's talking about AI. So why not talk to one of the leaders at one of the biggest AI firms right now in our space? Jacob Kosior, he's been on the operational side, he's been on the development side, so he's kind of seen it all, but now he's on the vendor side, and I think gives really great perspective on what he's seeing and just some of the same stuff that we've talked about, but I think he hits home really hard on how to actually roll out AI across your platforms.
Yeah, that's going to be fantastic. Looking forward to that, and we'll see you on the next episode.